So formal acceptance validates scope, generally performed after control quality or in parallel with it. And then control scope, this process that we see here, this is what we do as PMs to eliminate scope creep. Scope creep and gold plating. So let's talk about validate scope first. Right, so this is the process of getting the formal acceptance, AKA a signature. All right, whatever it is, I need you to say that we're done and you approve. And it could be incremental, right? It doesn't have to be the whole project. These two processes, validate scope and control quality, are tied together because we can't take something to the customer unless we've tested and inspected. Technically speaking, right? That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to verify it first, and then it's just a formality here. So the whole goal is to get accepted deliverables. We'll also get work performance information as an output. If you remember earlier, I told you work performance data as an input, work performance information as an output. That's what we're going to see. And then all that information became an input to monitor and control project work. And the output was a work performance report. So I'm just keep tying back that information. Data becomes information, becomes a report, becomes a project communications. All right, we may get some requests for change and some updates to our documents, and we'll get there from taking the plan, other project documents, but the verified deliverables, output from monitoring, from control quality. We'll take these verified deliverables and we'll inspect them. We'll inspect them and we'll have the client vote to say yay or nay. And if they say yay, then we get these accepted deliverables. And they're formally signed off on. That's the idea for the exam. Has to have some sort of formal acceptance or approval. And you can document this in your traceability matrix. The exam will usually call out the traceability matrix. It may be the documentation, but on the exam, the traceability matrix is usually called out for three things. It's usually called out for the fact that we want to trace some requirement back to an owner or source. We want to trace some requirement back to acceptance criteria. We want to trace some requirement back to business value. All right. It's not the only ways, but those are the three main ways that the traceability matrix is called out on the exam. Okay. We get the information, which deliverables have been accepted and why. See, the data would have come from the team. If I go here, I'm going to go forward to the key inputs where scope, it wasn't there. So I'm going to come back to this slide. We get the work performance data. The data would be, I accept 7 out of 10. We were talking about Krispy Kreme donuts the last time, right? So the data would, as a customer, I open my box and I'm like, you know what? I like these 10 donuts. I got a dozen. I don't want these 2, right? So the data would just say customer accepted 10 out of 2, gave them 2 more. And then we would turn around and take that into information, right? In terms of they're not accepting them because there wasn't enough sprinkles, or the donut didn't rise enough, or there was too little glaze or something like that, right? So that's the idea of taking that data and turning it into information, right? Which deliverables have been accepted and why, right? We need that little bit of extra. And then we may request change, preventative or corrective. Right, please fix the donuts, or please change the process to get better donuts, preventative. And then we may update our documents because of it. Okay. To get there, we would take our management plans, any baselines, requirements, traceability matrix to know, what the acceptance criteria is, what the business value it's satisfying, who is going to make that decision to sign off on. We would take those deliverables that have been verified by quality control, and we would use those as well. And then any other reports and work performance information that we may have, to help us with the decision. And then we'll inspect and decide. And not really us, but we're guiding our customer, our sponsor, to do this. So by the way, sponsor and sponsor only validates scope, right? Not key stakeholders, just the sponsor.
Hey, CJ.
Yes.
How come this is the only one that has the validate in it? Like schedule control cost, there's no validation step.
Yeah, because there's nothing to validate. It either is or isn't. And when you create a product, all we can do is verify that we built it to spec, but the customer can validate that it's done rightly. So here's a good way to think about it. I need a haircut soon, so I'm going to use this, right? We go to a barber or a hairstylist for ladies, right? Same thing. Okay, and we tell them what we want, like, this is the color I want, or this is the cut I want, whatever our requirements are, we give them to them. Okay, and when they're done with the work, they're going to give us a mirror, just a little mirror, right? Now, when they give us the mirror, usually, and ladies, you can attest to this. Usually they're still kind of playing with your hair a little bit. They give you the mirror to check it out, but sometimes they step back, but sometimes they kind of still play with the hair and they're looking and they're like, yeah, and they're lifting it up. And what they're doing in that moment, or guys, the hair barbers, and they're still kind of combing through, they're verifying, did I style their hair correctly? Did I cut their hair correctly? Did I dye their hair correctly? Okay, that's verification. Meanwhile, you're sitting there with the mirror looking at it like, did they give me the right hairstyle? Did they give me the right haircut? Did they give me the right dye? Right? So one thing says, did you build the product right? Verification. Validation says, did you build me the right product? And the only person that can do that is the customer, because we can verify that we built it correctly, and the customer can sit in a chair, like, we have a little chair. Okay, but you know what? I like what you got here, but you know what? Can we add more padding to the armrest? So now we haven't built the correct chair for the customer, and they can request that change. Only they can validate that something is correct for them, but we can verify that we've built it correctly. That's the long-winded version, Chris, but that's going to come up a lot on the exam, right? It's the fact that customers validate. So
it's all tied to the customer, the stakeholder, that they are the validation.
That's it.
Care about schedule or control cost. They've already agreed to that.
Pretty much, because any changes to that schedule that you can't, as a PM, adhere to, you would go through change control and they would say yay or nay, right? So it's only the final product that they can validate. So we verify, customers validate. That is going to come up on the exam a ton. And they can turn around and ask you a question about validate scope, or make it a quality question. They can make it a integrated change control question. I mean, this scenario comes up a lot. And then it's always, what should the project manager do next?